First Kings chapter 11. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, the Amorites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, Ye shall not go in to them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines. And his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods. And his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Amorites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. Then did Solomon build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Moloch, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods. And the Lord was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned from the Lord God of Israel. Which had appeared unto him twice, and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which the Lord commanded. Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, Forasmuch as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant. Notwithstanding, in thy days I will not do it for David thy father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. Howbeit I will not rend away all the kingdom, but will give one tribe to thy son for David my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen. And the Lord stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom. For it came to pass, when David was in Edom, and Joab, the captain of the host, was gone up to bury the slain, after he had smitten every male in Edom for 6 months, that Joab remained there with all Israel until he had cut off every male in Edom. That Hadad fled, he and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him, to go into Egypt, Hadad being yet a little child. And they arose out of Midian and came to Paran, and they took men with them out of Paran, and they came to Egypt unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, which gave him an house, and appointed him victuals, and gave him land. And Hadad found great favor in the sight of Pharaoh, so that he gave him to wife the sister of his own wife, the sister of Tahpenes the queen. And the sister of Tahpenes bare him Genubath his son, whom Tahpenes weaned in Pharaoh's house. And Genubath was in Pharaoh's household among the sons of Pharaoh. And when Hadad heard in Egypt that David slept with his fathers, and that Joab, the captain of the host, was dead, Hadad said to Pharaoh, Let me depart, that I may go to mine own country. Then Pharaoh said unto him, But what hast thou lacked with me, that behold, thou seekest to go to thine own country? And he answered, Nothing, albeit let me go in any wise. And God stirred him up another adversary, Rezon, the son of Eliadah, which fled from his lord Hadadezer, king of Zobah. And he gathered men unto him, and became captain over a band, and became captain over a band when David slew them of Zobah. And they went to Damascus, and dwelt therein, and reigned in Damascus. And he was an adversary to Israel all the days of Solomon, beside the mischief that Hadad did over he abhorred Israel, and reigned over Syria. And Joab, the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite of Zeredah, Solomon's servant, whose mother's name was Zeruah, a widow woman, even he lifted up his hand against the king. And this was the cause that he lifted up his hand against the king. Solomon built Millo, and repaired the breaches of the city of David his father. And the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor. And Solomon, seeing the young man that he was industrious, he made him ruler over all the charge of the house of Joseph. And it came to pass at that time, when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, that the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him in the way. And he had clad himself with a new garment, and they two were alone in the field. And Ahijah caught the new garment that was on him, and rent it. in 12 pieces. And he said to Jeroboam, Take thee 10 pieces, for thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, Behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to thee. But he shall have 1 tribe for my servant David's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, because that they have forsaken me, and have worshipped Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, Chemosh, the god of the Moabites, and Milcom, the god of the children of Ammon, and have not walked in my ways. To do that which is right in mine eyes, and to keep my statutes and my judgments as David his father. Howbeit, I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I will make him prince all the days of his life for David my servant's sake, whom I chose because he kept my commandments and my statutes. But I will take the kingdom out of his son's hand, and will give it unto thee, even 10 tribes. And unto his son will I give 1 tribe, that David my servant may have a light always before me in Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen me to put my name there. And I will take thee, and thou shalt reign according to all thy soul desireth, and shalt be king over Israel. And it shall be, if thou wilt hearken unto all that I command thee, and wilt walk in my ways, and do that is right in my sight, to keep my statutes and my commandments as David my servant did, that I will be with thee, and build thee a sure house as I built for David, and will give Israel unto thee. And I will for this afflict the seed of David, but not forever. Solomon sought therefore to kill Jeroboam. And the rest of the acts of Solomon, and all that he did, and his wisdom, are they not written in the book of the Acts of Solomon? And the time that Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over Israel was 40 years. And Solomon slept with his fathers, and was buried in the city of David his father, and Rehoboam his son reigned in his stead. 1 Kings chapter 12. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel were come to Shechem to make him king. And it came to pass, when Jeroboam the son of Nebat who was yet in Egypt heard of it, for he was fled from the presence of King Solomon, and Jeroboam dwelt in Egypt, that they sent and called him. And Jeroboam and all the congregation of Israel came and spake unto Rehoboam, saying, Thy father made our yoke grievous. Now therefore make thou the grievous service of thy father and his heavy yoke, which he put upon us, lighter, and we will serve thee. And he said unto them, Depart yet for 3 days, then come again to me. And the people departed. And King Rehoboam consulted with the old men that stood before Solomon his father, while he yet lived, and said, How do ye advise that I may answer this people? And they spake unto him, saying, If thou wilt be a servant unto this people this day, and wilt serve them, and answer them, and speak good words to them, then they will be thy servants forever. But he forsook the counsel of the old men, which they had given him, and consulted with the young men that were grown up with him, and which stood before him. And he said unto them, What counsel give ye that we may answer this people, who have spoken to me, saying, Make the yoke which thy father did put on us lighter? And the young men that were grown up with him spake unto him, saying, Thus shalt thou speak unto this people that spake unto thee, saying, Thy father made our yoke heavy, but make thou it lighter unto us. Thus shalt thou say unto them, My little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins. And now whereas my father did lade you with a heavy yoke, I will add to your yoke. My father hath chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. So Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam the 3rd day, and the king had appointed, saying, Come to me again the 3rd day. And the king answered the people roughly, and forsook the old man's counsel that they gave him, and spake to them after the counsel of the young man, saying, My father made your yoke heavy, and I will add to your yoke. My father also chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. Wherefore the king hearkened not unto the people, for the cause was from the Lord, that he might perform his saying, which the Lord spake by Ahijah the Shilonite unto Jeroboam the son of Nebat. So when all Israel saw that the king hearkened not unto them, the people answered the king, saying, What portion have we in David? Neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tent, Israel, now see, to thine own house, David. So Israel departed unto their tents. But as for the children of Israel, which dwelt in the cities of Judah, Rehoboam reigned over them. Then King Rehoboam sent Adoram, who was over the tribute, and all Israel stoned him with stones, that he died. Therefore King Rehoboam made speed to get him up to his chariot to flee to Jerusalem. So Israel rebelled against the house of David unto this day. And it came to pass, when all Israel heard that Jeroboam was come again, that they sent and called him unto the congregation, and made him king over all Israel. There was none that followed the house of David, but the tribe of Judah only. And when Rehoboam was come to Jerusalem, he assembled all the house of Judah with the tribe of Benjamin, 180,000 chosen men, which were warriors to fight against the house of Israel, to bring the kingdom again to Rehoboam the son of Solomon. But the word of the Lord came unto Shemaiah the man of God, saying, Speak unto Rehoboam the son of Solomon, king of Judah, and unto all the house of Judah and Benjamin, and to the remnant of the people, saying, Thus saith the Lord, Ye shall not go up, nor fight against your brethren the children of Israel. Return every man to his house, for this thing is from me. They hearkened therefore to the word of the Lord, and returned to depart according to the word of the Lord. Then Jeroboam built Shechem in Mount Ephraim, and dwelt therein, and went out from thence, and built Penuel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, Now shall the kingdom return to the house of David, if this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of the Lord at Jerusalem. Then shall the heart of this people turn again unto their Lord, even unto Rehoboam king of Judah. And they shall kill me, and go again to Rehoboam king of Judah. Whereupon the king took counsel, and made 2 calves of gold. And said unto them, It is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And he set the one in Bethel, and the other put he in Dan. And this thing became a sin. For the people went to worship before the one, even unto Dan. And he made an house of high places, and made priests of the lowest of the people, which were not the sons of Levi. And Jeroboam ordained a feast in the 8th month, on the 15th day of the month, like unto the feast that is in Judah. And he offered up upon the altar. So did he in Bethel. Sacrificing unto the calves that he had made. And he placed in Bethel the priests of the high places which he had made. So he offered upon the altar which he had made in Bethel the 15th day of the 8th month, even in the month which he had devised of his own heart, and ordained a feast unto the children of Israel. And he offered upon the altar and burnt incense. 1 Kings chapters 11 and 12 commentary. What a mess. What a mess this is. So we have, how should I begin to describe this? Should we start with what King Solomon did, or should we start with what Jeroboam did? And those names are confusing to me. I don't know about you guys, but Jeroboam and Rehoboam. Rehoboam was King Solomon's son, reigning over Judah. And Jeroboam was the king of Israel. So the kingdom is divided at this moment in time, and all Israel, 10 tribes, went with Jeroboam, and the 2 tribes, Judah and Benjamin, stayed with Rehoboam, son of Solomon. We can spend days and weeks going through just these 2 chapters, kind of finding out and exploring so many things. But the problem with doing that is that people become so analytical, and there's way too much information in the world today. So the easiest thing to say here is not talk about them and what they did wrong, but to talk about us, how wicked we are, just as they were. So as an example, we can talk about King Solomon, right? What did he do? Well, he had all these wives, and how they turned his heart away from the Lord, because that's what women do. And it's funny because I didn't know we were going to read about this, but before we started reading, we were talking about feminism, and truly how hard the spirit of feminism and the spirit of Jezebel it is in our days, that most women do not understand how that they're being seduced by the spirit of feminism, being promised freedom, being promised to rule themselves and not have a man, a patriarchy or whatnot. But the danger with feminism is that it doesn't deliver on any of its promises. It only causes chaos, and that is exactly what happened here in the case of King Solomon. But it happened also to the first man, Adam. Chaos came not only to his house, but it came also to the world because of the lure of women wanting to be equal to man. And, to be honest, women want to be far superior to men. Not only to men, but women want to be far superior, or at least equal to God. And that is the gods. If you study the gods of, or the goddess, which is interesting, isn't it interesting? Look at verse 33 of chapter 11, actually 32. But he shall have one tribe for my servant David's sake, for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, because that they have forsaken me and have worshipped Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, Chemosh, the god of the Moabites, and Milcom, the god of the children of Ammon. and have not walked in my ways to do that which is right in mine eyes, and keep my statutes and my judgments, as David his father did. But isn't it interesting that Ashtaroth is the goddess? And as far as I remember, this is the first goddess mentioned in the Bible. I don't know, I have to do a research, so I want to make sure. But most of the time, the Bible is mentioning gods, different gods, males, right? But in this case, is a goddess. It's very interesting that King Solomon first appointed this Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians. And I have done research on Ashtaroth because in my family was destroyed. I'm talking growing up by the witchcraft, the sin, the abomination of Ashtaroth. All of this, like my dad, for example, he had all these children with multiple women, and it's just perversions, okay? But Ashtaroth is even deeper than that. It's a deity that elevates women, but not just women, but depraved minds that think that are women, but they were not born women, if you catch my drift. So it is a wicked, wicked, wicked deity, this Ashtaroth. And it's unbelievable that King Solomon did that. But when you think about it, it was not because you think of Samson, who surrendered to the charms of a woman. You think of course, King Solomon surrendered the kingdom to the charms of multiple women. And throughout history, you have the same theme. Women take down multiple kingdoms by their charms and also by their nagging. When you think about Delilah, okay? And of course, you think about Eve. It was her, the Bible says, that sinned. So it's a very, like I said, we can spend weeks and months and years just studying these two chapters, but we will get nowhere if we study this from an intellectual part or an intellectual approach. The thing to do is to admit that we are just like King Solomon. We surrender everything to abominations. We are tolerant of that woman Jezebel, which is, in my opinion, related to what is talking about with Ashtaroth. And we keep tolerating this evil in our hearts. I mean, look at, if you're an honest man out there and you're listening to me, it says that King Solomon had 700 wives, 300 concubines, 1,000 women, right? And you're like, oh man, how can he do that? Blah, 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 blah. But if you're an honest man, when Jesus says about whosoever lusts after a woman has already committed adultery in his heart with her. And if you're honest, it's probably been more than King Solomon. That most males are lusting after hundreds and thousands of women out there. It's no different. So we can't say, oh, how King Solomon, how could he do that? Absolutely not. It's us. We are the people who are just as wicked. And we follow after other gods, just like he did. Which is why the salvation of Jesus and what he did on the cross for us is so important. Because we have done this and we have been perverted into thinking there's nothing wrong with lusting after women. And so because of that, we follow different gods. And we end up right at the very beginning, which is without salvation, which is where Israel ended up. Verse 28 of chapter 12, look at where it says, let's start at 27. If this people go up to do sacrifices in the house of the Lord at Jerusalem, then shall the heart of the people turn again unto their Lord, even unto Rehoboam king of Judah, and they shall kill me and go again to Rehoboam king of Judah. So you have Jeroboam thinking this in his heart, even though the Lord told him that he was going to give him the 10 tribes. And not only that, but in verse 24, Judah and Benjamin, they're getting ready to go to war, but the Lord tells them not to go to war because they have lost the 10 tribes. There's nothing they can do. And here you have Jeroboam not believing the word of the Lord, not believing the Bible, right? The word of the Lord. So he goes, and what does he do? Verse 28, whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold and said unto them, is it too much for you to go up to Jerusalem? Behold, thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. Just like Aaron did in the desert. And so they're right back to where they started. This is exactly where they were before they came into the land that flows with milk and honey. Exactly in the same place. Full circle. The dog comes back to its vomit. And we will hear throughout the rest of the book of the Kings the name Jeroboam, the son of Nebat. And this king did like his father had done, Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, right? That sinned against the Lord. It's going to be repeated over and over and over and over again. And this is what it means, is that they went back to the calves, back to the gods of Egypt. But that's what we do. That's what we do. We go back to our vomit because we are sinful people. And we have no hope. We are not good. We have to put our trust completely in Christ. And that's it. And not think that we are somehow... I hear people say, oh, be the best version of myself. There's no best version of yourself. There's no version that's ever been good. Or that will ever be good. There's only one person that is good, and that is Jesus. That's it. So we don't put on our own goodness, we put on his goodness. And that's the lesson from Solomon. He had everything. He had wisdom. We read all about his accolades and all that he did, and yet he did this thing. And because of it, we have the rest of history with a house divided and with whatever role Israel will play in the future. And they departed from the Lord, and to this very day they're paying the consequences because Israel doesn't believe in Jesus. You know, it came from all of these things that they did, and this is where their religion, the Judaism of today, is derived from these things from back then. I mean, people even say that under King Solomon came the Masons, maybe under Jeroboam. Who knows? We don't know. But what we do know is that it's all fake, it's all false religions. The only true God is the Lord, Jehovah, and he sent his son to die for us so that we wouldn't have to pay the consequences of our sins, because it is our sins. So anyways, we'll continue with, these are hard topics and stuff, and I'm not an expert either. All I know is that I'm just like this man, Solomon. I'm just like these people, and I need God's mercy. And that's all I can do. And all I can do is turn to the Word and do what the Lord tells me to do. Read it to my children so that they learn the lessons and that they put all their trust in the Lord. That's all we can do. And that's all we have to do, really. So anyway, we'll see you tomorrow.